consulates general throughout Canada have their websites, and they will flash the announcements in their respective websites. We'll also send email blasts to all our kababayans out there.
Okay, thank you very much, Ambassador.
You're welcome.
And we hope to see you next year.
Sure.
Okay, thank you. Si Ambassador Leslie Gatan po, Philippine Ambassador to Canada. Isang malaking bahagi pa rin ng okasyon na ito, yung pong maisulong na talaga, isulong yung tourism industry ng Pilipinas dahil sa kabila nga daw po ng mga nakalipas na kalamidad na tumama sa bansa. Sinabi po natin mga opisyal na wala naman silang nakitang masyadong epekto sa industriya, sa halip, parang mas nagindaan pa ito para lalo pang bisitahin ang Pilipinas. Kanina po nakausap natin si Assistant Secretary ng Department of Foreign Affairs na si Carl, at sinabi nga niya na maigting po yung mga hakbang na gagawin ng pamahalaan para isulong pa ang tourism industry. Mga kasama naman po natin ngayon si Assistant Secretary ng Department of Foreign Affairs, Carlos Roseta, or King. King Soreta. Magandang araw, sir.
Magandang umaga rin po.
Opo. Sir, kwentuhan niyo naman, no? Kasi isang napakagandang proyekto itong Winter Escapade, lalo na kailangan talaga ng Pilipinas na i-promote yung mga industriya, especially tourism, dahil na rin sa mga nangyari sa atin itong nakalipas na taon.
Tama po yun. Ang isang malaking simbolo nitong malaking grupo na to ay na ang tiwala nila sa bayan natin. Ang tiwala nila na lahat ay matiwasay, na kaya natin talunin kahit anong challenge na kaharap natin. At sila ang magiging pinakamagaling na mga mini ambassadors at spokespersons natin pagbalik nila sa bansa nila sa Canada.
So paano naboto yung ganitong mga klaseng proyekto na nakipagtulungan ng tourism at DFO?
Nais namin talagang akitin lahat ng tao sa mundo para pumunta sa Pilipinas, para makita ang ganda ng Pilipinas, ang ganda ng ating mga lugar at tanawin, at ang mga natatanging katangian ng ating mga mamamayan. At naisip namin na ang pinakamagaling na magkakalat nitong magandang balita ay ang mga Pilipino mismo. Dahil kung sila mismo ang hindi pupunta dito at hindi sila ang ating magsasalita para sa atin, ay mahirap na talagang itulak ang Pilipinas. At kami nagagalak na ang dami-dami na sumasama sa gantong mga proyekto.
So kasi ang Philippines last year talagang nakuha nila yung mga magagandang nataguriang isa sa mga paboritong tourist destinations. So may mga hakbang ba ginagawa ang DFA to maintain this kind of a good image sa international community?
Isa sa mga priority ng Department of Foreign Affairs sa ating mga embassies at consulate, katulong na ang mga attaches natin tulad ng trade tsaka ng tourism, ay i-promote ang Pilipinas. Dahil lahat ng pupunta naman dito, pagbalik nila sa kanilang bansa, ay nakikita nila na magandang bumisita sa Pilipinas. Na pag sila pumunta dito, yung kanilang gagastusin ay lubos at sulit kaysa sa ibang bansa.
So ito bang recent calamities na tumama sa Pilipinas, do you think nagkaroon ng effect sa tourism industry?
We would like to think na hindi, na ang nakita nila imbis na yung damage, ang nakita nila yung lakas ng Pilipino at ang ating determination na i-overcome lahat ng challenge.
So aside from Canada and iba pang mga countries, ano pa yung mga tina-target ng government na invited talaga na yung mga turista na to visit the Philippines? What other countries?
Yung tourism program po natin is targeted para sa mga markets sa Asia kasi malalapit sila. Tapos pero very aggressive din po ang promotion natin sa Americas at saka sa Europe at sa Middle East.
Sir, this is your opportunity na rin na i-invite na rin yung other Filipinos na hindi naman ganon kasama ang nangyari sa Pilipinas. Instead, mas marami pa nga silang magagandang makita dito. Yung talagang logo natin na it's more fun, o tourism theme natin na it's more fun in the Philippines.
Totoo po yan. Halos lahat ng mga nakausap ko nung pumunta kaming Tacloban dahil involved din kami sa rehabilitation and recovery. Lahat ng mga banyagang pumunta doon, whether they're government or private, dahil nakita iba sa kanila nag-base from Cebu, from Manila, iba-iba. Tsaka paglibot sila ng konti, sabi na gusto nila bumalik. Lalo na yung mga malapit dito sa ating bansa, babalik sila, sabi nila. Natutuwa silang nakatulong sila, pero nakita nilang kagandahan ng buo ng Pilipinas. Ang Pilipinas ay hindi defined ng mga disasters na tumatama sa kanya, kung hindi defined siya ng kalakasan ng ating mga tao, loob ng ating mga tao at kagandahan ng ating bansa.
Okay, maraming salamat po, Assistant Secretary, sa inyo pong sa amin po panayos. Ang bansang Canada po ay isa sa mga bansa na kung saan po maraming mga Pilipino ang nakatira o nagtatrabaho. Ito po yung sinasabi nating winter escapade at ang sinabi nga po nila, isang mga bahagi ito para lalo pang isulong ang turismo ng bansa. Ito pong pagpapalakas ng tourism industry. Nakapaloob po ito sa Philippine Development Plan ng bansa kung saan nga po may target tayo na matamo by 2016. Sinasabi kasi na isa sa mga pinanggagalingan ng investment ay ito pong tourism industry. Kanina nga po narinig nyo na hindi lamang po pamamasyal at talagang pagdating ng bisita, kundi yung pong nakatakdang ilagak na pamumuhunan, dagdag pamumuhunan sa bansa at yung kanilang na mag-retire dito sa Pilipinas. Nakausap po natin si Miss Susana del Mundo ng Department of Tourism kung saan ibinahagi niya sa atin na tuloy-tuloy po itong mga hakbang ng Department of Tourism. Hindi lang po ngayon na sinasabing winter escapade dahil all year round daw po yung kanilang mga proyekto para palakasin pa ang tourism industry. Siyempre hindi po pwede mawala tayo ng kasama mula sa Department of Tourism. Makakasama po natin ang Tourism Promotions Board na si Miss Susana del Mundo. Magandang araw, ma'am.
Magandang umaga.
I'm sure busy kayo kasi maraming gagawin para pa rin po dito sa mga hakbang ng Department of Tourism para sa bansa.
Actually, marami naka-line up. Lahat kami ay very busy. Oo.
Ma'am, kasi aside from itong Canada, itong winter escapade, paano ba nagkaroon ng ganitong klaseng programa ang pamahalaan, especially kasi parang ang dami-dami tumama sa bansa, baka naging masama ang image. So, paano po ang naging hakbang ng Department of Tourism?
Actually, it originated doon sa US Ambassador's Tour. But last year, they decided na ihiwalay ang Canada kasi the participants are increasing. So they want to have a big share of the Canadian market. And besides, they want also to support the government, the tourism especially, in giving back the support given by the Canadian government to the especially the devastated areas in Western Visayas.
So, kumusta naman po yung naging feedback nitong project na to dito sa Canada?
Overwhelming. The participants or the delegates were so overwhelmed with the reception given by the local community, and they were touched really, and they would like to come back, invite their friends, not only the Filipinos overseas, those living in Canada, but also their mainstream Canadians to invite to the country. And nakita nila na napakaganda ng Pilipinas, masaya, in spite of what happened in the country. They saw for themselves the devastated areas, but they were touched by the reception of the people of the Western Visayas, the school children, the local community, the government.
Nung pong itong winter escapade tour na to, ano po yung nakita nyo parang naging paborito ng mga bisita natin dito sa Pilipinas?
They went to Boracay. Nag-enjoy sila sa. It's an island escapade. They have a great fun in spite of the very chilly weather. It's a perfect escapade. Escape from the winter. They went to Guimaras. They enjoyed Guimaras. They had mango picking. Though it's an agricultural destination, but some of them would like to invest or buy lands and retire in the region. They went to Capiz and Rojas, is also a devastated area. They enjoy the seafood, the crabs, the prawns, but they miss those kind of food.
Opo.
Kaya even the kakanins here, they miss those food and they really enjoy it. They went to Iloilo. They love Iloilo. All the places they went to, they love the places.
So aside from pag-promote ng tourism industry, nagkaroon ng investment and nagiging pwedeng talagang retirement haven ang
correct. Yeah, oo.
Pilipinas.
Yeah, oo.
Kasi mahaba-haba itong winter. So what other countries na tina-target ng Department of Tourism to have this kind of project or program?
Oo. Especially dun sa mga cold countries like Europe, in America. And it's going to be a series. Every year it's going to be another winter escapade from Canada in during the fall. Europe naman, a group of Europeans are coming over for another tour. We're targeting about, that's the maximum that we can generate, about 500, and this July another 500 Filipino Americans and their friends.
Mga ilan po ba ngayon ang target ng government na to invite yung tourist arrivals natin, at least for this year?
For this year, we're estimating about 6 million. Yeah, 6 million. But because of what happened last year, medyo nag-down. So there are many cancellation, but they're coming
na
back.
rin.
They're coming back. Nakita nila na it's only the small areas in the Philippines, and also they would like to contribute to the Philippine economy. They want to show their support to the Philippines despite of what happened.
Ay, napakagandang balita po yan. Pero paano po ang coordination ng Department of Tourism sa ating other, kailangan yung, siyempre, yung security na rin ng ating mga bisita. Kumusta po yung coordination nyo dito sa mga agencies na to?
They're very supportive, especially in the Western Visayas with the group. Talagang all out ang regional security support, and even the paramedics, the ambulance. Siyempre, hindi mawawala yan na magkakaroon ng masakitan dyan or nahihilo. But very supportive, they're there, and talagang mga delegates are overwhelmed by the security and even the safety. Talagang we're there to help and welcome them. And sabi nga ng mga delegates, this is from a foreigner point of view. The Philippines, they have the common attractions with Thailand, Malaysia, but your main selling point is the people, the Filipino people. Everywhere you go, they smile, they say good morning, how are you? And even the military, they even share, like they chat with the delegates.
So nakakataba ng puso yung sa kanila nanggagaling yung mga ganong papuri. Ang Department of Tourism, alam ko, hindi kayo nagpapahinga kasi aside from winter escapade, malapit na rin ang summer. So ano naman po yung mga programang inilalatag ninyo?
Marami. Okay, for domestic also, meron kami as part of our support to the devastated areas. Meron kaming bangon tours in destinations, particularly in the destinations affected by the typhoon. So we encourage the Filipinos here, domestic, to see the country more, and traveling to the country showed your support and contribution to the economy and to the community.
Okay. Maraming salamat po, ma'am. At sana talaga magtuloy-tuloy talaga ito ng gusto. Kasi ang Pilipinas talagang nakikita na sa radar ng international community when it comes to mga magandang destinations.
And besides, tourism is for the people.
Okay. Maraming salamat po, ma'am. And good luck po sa Department of Tourism. Thank you po. Ang winter escapade po ay mapapanood nyo live. Streaming po nito via rtvm.gov.ph. At ito pong pagbisita sa palasyo ng Malacanang at pakipagkita kay Pangulo Aquino, ito po yung huling bahagi o yung last leg ng Winter Escapade tour po ng mga kababayan at mga kaibigan natin mula sa Canada. Ang Pilipinas po ay kabilang sa top sources of immigrants at temporary workers ng Canada. Ang pinakamalalaking Filipino communities po ay nasa Toronto, Vancouver at Winnipeg. Ang Canada po ay kabilang sa top 10 tourist markets ng Pilipinas with 123,699 visitor arrivals in 2002. Ayun po mga taga-Canada na kasama po dito sa Winter Escapade Tour. Ang participants po ay nagmula sa Ottawa, sa Toronto, sa Winnipeg, sa Vancouver, Calgary at Edmonton. Kanina po nung nakausap natin yung taga Department of Tourism, kung inyo pong napansin, isa pa rin po sa mga mahalagang sinabi niya dun sa plano ng Department of Tourism, yung sinabi nilang proyekto na Bangon project, kung saan po ang tututukan nito yung mga gusto pong bumisita mula sa mga kaibigan natin sa international community na makita po yung mga nangyari dito sa Pilipinas. Sinasabi nga po nila na imbis daw po na maging bahagi ng liability ito, parang mas naging bahagi ito kung saan mas nagustuhan po o mas naging mas gusto nilang pumunta sa Pilipinas para po makita yung nangyari, especially dito sa Bohol at iba pang mga lugar dito, kabilang na daw po yung Tacloban, kasi hindi lang naman po daw basta makita, kasi gusto nga naman po nila yung hangarin na makatulong po dito sa Pilipinas. Samantala, bibigyan ko lang din po kayo ng ilang paring background. Sinimulan po ito nung ika-18 ng Hunyo nitong taon at mahigit po sa 200 turista ang nakilahok sa 7 araw na paglilibot sa ating bansa. Nila, isa daw po sa mga nagustuhan ng ating mga bisita mula sa Canada, yun daw pong pagkain, syempre yung mga beaches, at syempre yung daw pong, pero higit daw po sa lahat, yung daw pong magandang pagsalubong o yung reception ng mga Filipino sa kanila, na kahit daw po kung ano nang nangyari sa Pilipinas, nakukuha pa rin ngumiti at malugod daw po silang tinatanggap. Ito pong Winter Escapade courtesy call sa ginaganap po sa Palasyo ng Malacanang ay napapanood nyo rin live sa PTV 4 at sa IBC 13. Naging tampok rin po sa nasabing tour ang pag-iikot sa mga kilalang tourist destinations na ipinagmamalaki po ng Pilipinas, itong Boracay Island, na kung saan nga po ay nanguna pa sa listahan ng top tourist destinations ng ilang international travel guide, dahil po siyempre hindi naman kailana, talagang napakaganda ng lugar, maputi at pinong buhangin ang taglay nito. At kilala, ang gustong-gusto rin po nila yung sinasabi nating island hopping sa Guimaras para saksihan ang kabig-habighaning yaman ng ating kalikasan. Si Pangulong Aquino po ay inaantabayanan natin at napakaswerte po itong mahigit na 2 tourist o participants dito po sa Winter Escapade, kasi naging pinakahuling bahagi po ng kanilang tour ay ang makita si Pangulong Aquino.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the Republic of the Philippines, His Excellency Benigno Simeon Aquino III. Please remain standing for the national anthem.
Bayang magiliw, perlas ang silanganan, alam ng puso, sa titig mo'y buhay. Lupang hinirang, duyan ka ng magiting, sa manlulupit, di ka masisingil. Sa dagat at bundok, sa simoy at sa langit mo babaw, may nilang ang tula, ang awit sa paglayang minamahal. Ang kisap ng watawat mo'y tagumpay na nakikinig. Ang bituin at araw niya kailan pa may magdidilim. Lupa ng araw ng maraming konsep na langit sa atin mo. Aming ligaya na pag may mamapit, ang namatay ng dahil sa'yo.
Please take your seats. Good morning to all the delegates, partners, and organizers of the inaugural Winter Escapade, It's More Fun in the Philippines tour. Ambassador Neil Reeder and the delegation from the Embassy of Canada in Manila, good morning. To formally welcome all of you to this notable event, may we call on the Secretary of Foreign Affairs, the Honorable Albert Del Rosario.
Your Excellency, President Benigno S. Aquino III, Ambassador Neil Reeder, Tobias and Verga Jr., Manitoba Legislative Assembly Member Flor Marcelino and Ted Marcelino, Councilor Marvin Rotrand, Undersecretary Maria Teresa Martinez, Assistant Secretary King Soretta, Ambassador Gatan, escapees for the winter, friends, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is an honor to join the President in welcoming our dear escapees to Manila on the final day of the inaugural Winter Escapade, a project organized by the Philippine team in Canada, led by the Philippine Embassy in Ottawa and supported by our career and honorary consular offices and the Department of Tourism. As we contemplate our countrymen who are abroad, there are many compelling reasons for Filipinos to have made Canada their new home. The Canadian government had indicated to me that because of its aging workforce, Canada is looking for more foreigners to live and work there. They expressed to me that they are going to be extremely selective, however, by looking for those who meet a very high standard. They will only be accepting well-educated, hardworking, family-oriented workers with a Christian outlook. I said to them that you must therefore be looking for Filipinos. And without hesitation, they all wholeheartedly agreed. It may be a truism that a Filipino community can be found in the remotest corner of the globe, but the call of home is a force that cannot be denied. Since we launched the Ambassador's Tour in 2005, our Foreign Service posts in North America have coordinated the tour as your balikbayan vehicle for the summer. Winter Escapade is different. It is designed as a complement, answering the clamor of North American snowbirds for a respite from the cold. We hope that the Winter Escapade establishes the migratory pattern that brings you home every winter as regularly as the Ambassador's Tour brings back kababayans home in the summer. Your itinerary for this tour was designed to reinforce linkages to heritage and to enrich direct people-to-people contact through the festivals in Aklan, Iloilo, and Guimaras. Of course, members of Canada's Disaster Assistance Response Team may have beaten you to the draw in making a mark in these provinces. Please allow me to tell you that we were overwhelmed by the tremendous generosity of Canada in the aftermath of Super Typhoon Yolanda. Indeed, the depth of Filipino-Canadian friendship was made apparent over the last few weeks. Canada was among the first to respond to the crisis wrought by Typhoon Yolanda. We have received very touching messages from Prime Minister Harper, Governor David Johnson, Foreign Minister John Baird, Trade Minister Ed Fast, Immigration Minister Chris Alexander, Speaker Noel Kinsella, and International Development Minister Christian Paradis. Canada was among our top 5 contributors. Their contributions included 20 million Canadian dollars from the Canadian government, with additional 35 million Canadian dollars from the Heian Fund and the participation of the 315 personnel of the Disaster Assistance Response Team deployed in Panay. They have likewise pledged continued commitment to our reconstruction efforts. We are proudly grateful and we are deeply moved by the solidarity of our Canadian friends with our people. The great outpouring of support springs from both our robust bilateral relations and from the goodwill cultivated by some 800,000 Filipinos in Canada, including your good selves. And such is the depth of Filipino-Canadian friendship. Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen, let us therefore harness the power of this special friendship in every conceivable way. It is our hope that your visit to the Philippines will be super fun and that you will not be able to resist coming back very soon. I thank you for your visit, and may the Lord continue to bless the people of the Philippines and Canada.
May we request Philippine Ambassador to Canada, Leslie Gatan, to introduce his delegation.
Your Excellency, Mr. President, I'm honored to present to you the 242 participants from Canada, starting from the west, from Vancouver, British Columbia, led by Consul General Neil Frank Ferrer. Please stand up. All those from Vancouver, and thank you. From Calgary, led by Honorary Consul General Ferdy Aguirre. From Edmonton, led by Honorary Consul General Esmeralda Agbulos. Winnipeg and Saskatchewan of Manitoba, Winnipeg, Manitoba, and Saskatoon and Regina, led by Honorary Consul General Orlando Marcelino. And together with the group are the 2 members of the Legislative Assembly. And from Toronto, led by Consul General Jennifer Mahilum West. And from Ottawa, Quebec, Halifax, and Atlantic provinces, led by Fleury de Mayo. And of course, our partners from the Department of Tourism Directors, Mitch D, covering Eastern Canada, Tourism Director Vernie Morales, covering Central Canada, and Tourism Director Rene de los Santos, covering Western Canada. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Gatan. May I call again on Secretary Del Rosario to introduce the President.
Ladies and gentlemen, His Excellency, the President of the Republic of the Philippines, Benigno S. Aquino III.
Thank you. Thank you. Good morning. Please sit down. Secretary Albert Del Rosario, His Excellency, Canadian Ambassador Neil Reeder and Mrs. Reeder, Senator Tobias Enverga and Mrs. Enverga, Ambassador Leslie Gatan, Undersecretary Maria Teresa Martinez, Assistant Secretary Carlos Soreta, participants of the 2014 Winter Escapade, fellow workers, government, honored guests. Mga minamahal ko po kababayan, magandang umaga po sa inyo lahat. Does anybody mind if I speak in Tagalog? Okay, thank you. If you notice I had the teleprompter removed, that means I didn't like the speech that they prepared today. I think it failed to convey a lot of the sentiments I want to express. And unfortunately, now I have to do it extemporaneously, and I'm still composing portions of it. Anyway, let me start out with them. Marami hong problema ang bansa natin. Pero talagang parang napakarami nung share naman natin sa problema. At paminsan-minsan, no, nagkakaroon tayo ng, alam niyo, Pilipino pag madali raw humumiti, parang naghahanap ng pagpapatawa. Di ba? Para kung ano man dinadaanan, medyo mapagaanan ang ating pinagdadaanan. So, alam naman ho nyo siguro, text capital raw ang Pilipinas. No? At last week, may natanggap akong text. Baka nabalitaan nyo, meron ho tayong kasalukuyang issue tungkol doon sa PDAFO, Priority Development Assistance Fund. Na kung saan di umano, meron mga ilang membro ng gobyerno ang inabuso itong pondong to at ibinulsa. Sa gitna po ng kontrobersyang to ay may isang aling ngalan, Miss Napoles. Okay. Ngayon, ang pinadala sa akin text ay ganito nakalagay. Yung maalaala mo kaya na programa, gagawin raw isang episode, buhay ni Mrs. Napoles. So natural, dumating yung mga scriptwriter, in-interview si Mrs. Napoles, at itinanong na iba't ibang detalye. Sa bawat tanong po ng mga scriptwriter, ang sinasabi raw ni Mrs. Napoles, hindi ko maalala yan. May tinanong na ibang bagay, wala akong maalalang ganyan. Pagkatapos ng 5 o 6 na oras sa kaka-interview, pa nasusulat yung scriptwriter, hindi na po matutuloy raw yung episode ng maalala mo kaya. So, ganda naman napatawa ko kayo maski pa paano. Naalala ko tuloy nung kami na-exile, nasa Boston. Tatay ko napakahilig manood ng news. Yung lahat ng stasyon, kung kakayanin niya, dinadaanan niya yung news program. Sa Boston po nung panahon na yun, meron pa isang stasyon na binobroadcast yung news in Spanish. So yung inulit na news in Spanish, pinapanood rin niya. At yung una kong karanasan sa winter po kasi, ay nangyari ng mga panahon to. At ako po'y talagang giniginaw ng husto at shivering. Yung bahay ho namin kasing tinitiran sa Boston, ginawa 1929. Ngayon po yung insulation science, tila iniisip pa lang noong 1929. No? So meron po yung tawag yata ring radiator. No? Pag tinitignan ko, display purposes lang pala to. Baka hindi man yung tinatanong. Nung ako po'y natutulog doon, sabi, di ba, suggestion, multiple layers of clothing. So, syempre, underwear, tapos thermal underwear, tapos may jogging pants, may sweater, kuminsan may down jacket, ang sleeping bag na nasa ilalim ng blanket at comforter. At yung pag nakapasok na ho kayo sa inyong kama at medyo mainit-init na, at inutusan kayo, parang hirap na hirap kayong uulitin yung buong proseso. Anyway po, ang nagbibigay comfort sa akin nung panahon na yun, no, tila yung wind patterns tsaka yung temperature nagmumula sa Canada at pinainit naman talaga na po ninyo bago umabot sa Boston. Kaya maraming salamat po sa inyo, nabawasan yung ating pinagdaanan doon. Hindi ko po kasi sukat akalain na dito po sa Malacanang, matutuwa akong i-welcome ang escapists. Kaya ako napalitan yung talumpati. Alam mo nyo, pag escapist, kadalasan katabi ko si Secretary Laila de Lima ng Department of Justice. At pinupuri natin nakahuli. Pero anyway po, let me get to some more serious matters. No? Typhoon Haiyan, no, or Yolanda was really bad. And it came on top of several crises. No? You had the Zamboanga siege, you had the Bohol Cebu earthquake, you had Santi in between them before Yolanda struck. And then now you have Agaton. And Agaton is the latest low-pressure area that transformed itself into a tropical depression that fortunately dissipated again into a low-pressure area and hopefully reconfigure itself into a tropical depression. The Philippines is visited by about 20 typhoons every year. And we have gone a long way. No? For instance, when we started, we had the Weather Bureau that that had at its head somebody who felt he was the best friend of God. And when he decided where a typhoon truck would follow, he expected this typhoon truck to follow his dictates. So we were advised to prepare for the landfall in Aurora at that point in time, northern Philippines, and it actually went to southern Tagalog and then Metro Manila. And I was in our residence in Quezon City at the time, and I was saying, this must be such a terrible typhoon because the winds were whipping it up and so strong in Quezon City when it was supposed to be in Aurora Province. Lo and behold, it never went to Aurora Province because there it was very sunny, and it actually was in a sense in the opposite track. Now we have a weather bureau who can accurately tell you precisely where it will fall, what the wind strength will be, what the rainfall will be, but more importantly, we have a Department of Science and Technology that is able to translate all of this data and make our citizens even more prepared than what they were. When we started out, when you say amount of rainfall expected, you're reading in millimeters and nobody really could understand it. Now we have a color-coded scheme that tells you how much rain to expect, and this is coupled with geohazard mapping throughout the country that tells you what to expect given certain conditions. And we expect to have more and more inputs and more work done that will make all of our communities resilient. Okay. Let me talk about Yolanda. Yolanda affected 44 of our 81 provinces. It affected about 20% of the population. No? And by affected, we mean that they really were severely affected. We have something like 918,000 families needing assistance of some form or another just to recover shelter. And of course, the livelihood that's involved. Now, if I may ask you to recall, this was the last in a series of tragedies that befell us, both man-made and natural, last year. And government was, I admit, hard-pressed to meet all of the needs. And I had received so many text messages again. And they were asking me how I was. And I said, I'm okay. And you might wonder, why would I be okay given such a situation? I am okay because there really was overwhelming support, not only from our countrymen, but more importantly, from the international community. I have to praise Canada. In my conversation with the Prime Minister, he mentioned that we do have a significant Filipino-Canadian community, and the Filipino-Canadian community prevailed upon the Canadian government to render its utmost assistance in the tragedy that happened with Yolanda. So previously, there was warmth from the winter months. Now there is the warmth from the love that you have bestowed and shown on our countrymen. And again, on their behalf, I thank all of you for this really tremendous effort that enabled us to overcome and continue to overcome the challenges besetting our country as we try to recover, reconstruct, rehabilitate, and build back better. Again, our thanks to each and every one of you. To those of you who have not been back to the country in quite a while, I think you will notice that there are significant changes in our country today. I dare say that when I step down by 2016, perhaps a lot of you will no longer recognize the skyline that is of the National Capital Region, as well as that of Cebu and so many other areas. You will be pleasantly surprised by the infrastructure that will be wrought on the country. A few days ago, we inaugurated we broke the ground for this project that will connect the North Luzon Expressway and the South Luzon Expressway, wherein you will be able to bypass the tortuous road called EDSA. Okay. Now, it is very significant, and in a sense, we're glad. We're starting it. We're hoping that it will be completed by 2016, and this will be just one of two connecting roads that will again bypass EDSA. What is important to note is when they envisioned this road, I was still in the elementary. In sometime in the 70s, the then Construction Development Corporation of the Philippines was granted a franchise. It was given the North Luzon Expressway, built by government, and in exchange, they promised to bring this road to Pangasinan in the north and Quezon in the south. Up to today, about 40 years later, it still has to reach Pangasinan and it has to reach Quezon. Okay. And I will not go into details as to why it took that long. But the bottom line is that some people are already talking of trips from Manila to Baguio in a 3.5 hour to 4 hour mode, driving, shall we say, not overspeeding. Okay. Now, airport, we have so many projects online for our airports, primarily because we expect tourist arrivals, which started at about 3 million when I started into office, to amount to about 10 million foreign tourist arrivals every year by 2016. And we're at a halfway point. The domestic tourism program has already breached the target for 2016 as early as 2011. So that has necessitated practically doubling the targets by 2016. And I'm confident that we will reach that. We have gotten so many accolades from credit ratings agencies that have given us investment grade status already as a country when we issue our bonds. You have a country that is able, again, to come up with the wherewithal with the challenges that beset us one after the other. And perhaps it is a mark of the confidence of the international community that so many came to us because they knew it would not be wasted given the reforms that we have tried to institute into office. You know, let me just give you an idea of one of the reforms that has enabled us to get to where we are. The Department of Public Works and Highways used to have the most corrupt image, if not one of them. Okay? Now, one of the processes that involve themselves in would be the need for people interested in bidding for projects to submit a letter of intent to bid. This letter, in turn, would produce a list of people intending to bid for particular projects. What that facilitated was collusion amongst the contractors to know who their competitors were, reach out to them, come up to a deal, and defeat the purpose of competitive bidding. Secretary Singson, when he came into office, innovated by removing that requirement. And what is the result? There is an underpass now connecting Quezon Avenue, at the intersection of Quezon Avenue and Araneta Avenue. When we got into office, there was a budgeted amount of about 690 million pesos for the said project. When we actually came up with our own estimate, it got reduced to about 503 or so. When we actually bidded it out, it became 430 million pesos instead of 690, and we brought it in, if I remember correctly, about 100 days ahead of schedule. So we got something that we needed, better, at the right quality, at the right price, and at an earlier point in time. Now, I had a battle cry of kung walang korap, walang mahirap. And what does that mean? No. We want growth that is inclusive. And how are we tackling this growth? I'll give you an example. We do invest the vast majority of our budget in education. And one of the components is TESDA, or the tech box sector. Previously, it used to hit about 26% placement rate for its graduates. Currently, the average is 62%. And this has been done by tailoring their programs to the needs of our various industries and businesses. In certain sectors within this tech box sector, it can reach up to 85% placement rates. Now, what is the end result? Over 500,000 Filipinos in our 3 years, about 560,000 actually, or thereabouts, have been brought through the process. And again, at least 62% of these 500,000+ Filipinos have found meaningful work. Another program that we are proud of is in Tagalog, it's called Pantawid Pamilya Pilipino Program. It's called the Conditional Cash Transfer Program in English. And the only requirement is, keep your children in school, you will receive a stipend from government. This is about 4.3 million families already by now, targeting the bottom quintile of our population. This year, we will expand the program to cover students in the high school arena. There is a recent study that says graduating from high school brings a premium of 40% in your income earning capabilities over that of elementary school graduates. The school backlog program of 66,800 classrooms that we needed when we started has been completed by the end of 2013, and Brother Armin Luistro of DepEd managed to produce not 66,800, but he was so proud to report to me that they produced 66,813. Hopefully, in this case, the 13 extra happening in 2013, will be, shall we say, the hallmark of what to expect. You will get more and more from this government and its good governance. So, my friends, I don't want to talk too long. No. But I guess what I really just want to say is, like a lot of Filipinos, and I guess you, when you left our shores, you looked at the future in the country and said, the future doesn't look that bright. And I've always wondered, and perhaps most especially when we were living in exile, the country is so blessed. With natural resources, we're blessed with location, we're blessed with the people so resilient and so talented and so creative. And one had to ask and wonder, why can't we make that good future here? Why does a Filipino wanting a good future have to go abroad, be separated from family, and really pick up the roots with all the hardships that entails? And I'm here to tell you that this is changing. In our 3.5 years of governance, you will see a transformation in the attitude of our people, a can-do attitude that perhaps manifested itself most clearly during the recent Yolanda episode. When I was asked, how are you? And I kept replying, I'm okay. And perhaps I should have expounded, I'm okay because the people I serve really bring me so much honor and so much pleasure in that given any tragedy, they really can pick themselves up, sometimes literally the day after, and proceed to reconstruct and rehabilitate their own lives instead of dwelling on their misfortune. People who will have so many challenges but will never be bound, but instead always exhibit the fight so typical of our race and our countrymen. So, my friends, I'd like to welcome you again, retracing your roots, showing perhaps that your efforts towards alleviating the plight of our countrymen has not been in vain. And perhaps with a little amount of pride, hopefully your stay here will truly be more fun because you have seen a Philippines transform. Thank you. Good day.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. To engrave this occasion in our memories, the delegation shall now have a photo opportunity with the President. We will begin with the Philippine Ambassador to Canada, the Consuls General, Honorary Consuls General, to be followed by each delegation as they are called. Please take your seats in the meantime and wait for your ushers to direct you to the proper positions. May I ask the first group to prepare Mrs. Debbie Gatan, Consul General Juniper Mahilong West, Consul General Neil Ferrer, Consuls General Agulos, Aguirre, Marcelino, Sears, Odina, and their spouses.
Winter Escapade Tour mula po sa pagsisimula po ng talumpati ng Pangulo. Sinimulan niya ito sa mga pabirong mga salita kung saan nga ay inilatag niya yung usapin ng PDAF. Kasama na rin po yung sinasabi niyang dapat daw po ay gagawa ng pelikula sa Maalaala Mo Kaya, pero dahil wala daw pong maalala yung si Janet Napoles, hindi na natuloy. Ito po yung mga bahagi lamang po ng mga pabirong simulang talumpati ni Pangulong Aquino, pero sa bandang huli ay ibinahagi rin po ni Pangulong Aquino yung mga malaking pagbabago sa Pilipinas dahil sa pinatutupad na reforma. Ayon sa kanya, ito po daw pong Winter Escapade Tour ay magbibigay daan upang ibayo pa nilang makita yung pong katatagan at tiyaga ng o determinasyon ng mga Pilipino na makabangon po sa trahedya. Sabi sa kanya, sabi ng Pangulo, hindi naman daw po ito dahil lamang sa investment o yung hinangad na kaunlaran, kasi ito daw po isa na ring pagbibigay pasasalamat dito sa mga mga bansang tumulong sa Pilipinas, kung saan nga daw po ay nagsilbing lakas ng mga Pilipino para po makabangon sa trahedya. po ang bansang Canada, ang sinabi ni TFA Secretary Albert Rosario na mabilis na nagpaabot ng tulong sa Pilipinas noong pong panahon ng pangangailangan. Itong nakikita niyo po ay ang mga participants po, yung mahigit 200 participants dito sa Winter Escapade Tour na mula Canada. Kabilang po dyan ay mga balikbayans, mga Canadian na mula po sa Toronto, sa Ottawa, sa Winnipeg at ilang pa pong mga lugar doon na talaga sumali dito sa tour para po takasan ang sinasabing lamig ng klima o yung snow na nararanasan sa kanilang lugar kung saan po naging pagkakataon naman ng Pilipinas na bahagi yung po mga magagandang lugar at tanawin dito sa Pilipinas. Pero sabi nga ng Pangulo, kung matagal na silang hindi nakarating sa Pilipinas at nakita nila ngayon ang Pilipinas, siguro naman po ay nakita daw nila ang malaking pagbabago, hindi lamang daw po dun sa mga bagong infrastruktura na nakita nila, kundi daw po dun sa mismong pag-uugali na rin ng mga Pilipino, kung saan sinasabi nga kahit sa kabila ng mga naranasang kalamidad, nakangiti at buo ang pag-asa na babangon mula sa trahedya. Isa pa rin po sa malaking sinabi ng Pangulo na inilatag na may sapat daw po ang pamahalaan para po matapatan itong mga nangyayari sa Pilipinas para magtuloy-tuloy po yung sinasabing pagbangon ng ekonomiya ayon sa kanya sa kabila ng mga nangyaring kalamidad. Kumpiyansa pa rin siya na matatamo pa rin ng Pilipinas yung target na economic growth sa taong ito. Pero ang sabi nga niya, nakatuwang po nitong mga target na ito, yung pong tiyaga, determinasyon ng lahat ng mga Pilipino na naniniwala daw po sa pamahalaan sa sinasabing good governance at yung pagpapatuloy ng tuwid na daan. Ito mong napapanood ninyo ay bahagi po ng Winter Escapade Tour. Ito po yung last leg kung saan isang pagkakataon po na makabisita dito sa Palasyo ng Malacanang at isa pong natatanging okasyon dito ay makasama si Pangulong Aquino. Yan lamang po ang ating mga nakita dito sa Winter Escapade. Dito po yung unang pagkakataon na nagkaroon po ng ganitong programa kung saan nga daw po ay para ibayo pang maipakita ang ganda ng Pilipinas na sa kabila daw po ng mga pangyayari itong mga nakalipas na taon ay bumangon at hindi pa rin nagpahuli sa mga ibang bansa o mga ibang bansa sa Asia para maibangon pa rin o magtuloy-tuloy ang sinasabing kaunlaran. Ang Winter Escapade Tour po, sabi ng Department of Tourism, isa lamang po sa mga hakbang ng pamahalaan para mapalakas pa ang tourism industry, hindi lamang daw po sa sinasabing dagdag investment, kaunlaran, kundi ito daw po yung magsisilbi pa rin haven ng retirement haven ng iba pang ating mga kababayan na nasa ibang bansa. Sa pagkakataong to, meron po tayo makakausap. How are you, sir? So, welcome to the Philippines.
Thank you very
How was your tour?
I enjoyed it a great deal. First of all, this tour has enormous potential. Canadians really do want to escape the Canadian winter. But it has more than that. Canadians are attracted to the Philippines, not only because Filipinos are now a major group within our country. There are 800,000 persons of Filipino origin. And they're very proud of that origin, and they talk to other Canadians about their country. So we want to learn about this country. And the ambassador and the embassy set up a tour that allows Canadians to discover investment possibilities in the Philippines, but also the great tourist potential. Because the Philippines has not been as well marketed in Canada as Thailand or Bali in Indonesia. And when people discover Boracay and other tourist attractions here, discover how wonderful and affordable they are, it's going to open a whole new market. And that's going to allow trade to develop as well. With new airlines coming in the next couple of years, easier to get here, you can bet you're going to see a lot of Canadians here in the Philippines in the next number of years.
So what other, memory would you like to bring in Canada to tell your friends and other kababayans there?
Well, I think, as my partner has said, it's The Philippines is a wonderful destination, perhaps not the first thought for many Canadians, but I think it should be because there are so many things. There's a land of contrast, friendly people, but you have it all. You have beaches, you've got towns, you've got villages, the best mangoes in the world. We've enjoyed it so much, and every day has been something new. It's been a revelation, and people have just been wonderful. And my message will be to people in Canada, come here, see it, because it's all those islands and all those things to discover. It's been wonderful.
So we have to thank you for doing this in our country, and we hope to see you by next year.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Thanks to everybody who made our tour not only memorable, but for the warmth and hospitality of the people we met with, we dealt with everywhere. Filipinos were very curious to learn about us as we were to learn about them.
Thank you, sir, and welcome to the Philippines. And it's more fun in the Philippines.
It certainly is.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you. Sila lang po ay ilan pa rin po sila sa mga 200 naging bahagi ng Winter Escapade Tour dito sa Pilipinas. At inyo pong natunghayan ang ating ang courtesy call ng participants ng Winter Escapade Tour mula sa Canada sa tulong po ng RTVM, ng IBC 13, ng PTV 4 at ng Radyo ng Bayan. Ako po si Rocky Ignacio. Isang magandang araw po sa inyo lahat.
And it'll never change. 사랑해.